Maya Thompson was never the type to cut corners or look the other way. Her mama had raised her better than that. Even when life got hard, even when she was bone-tired, she always tried to do the right thing. That Thursday morning at Chicago O'Hare Airport, doing the right thing was about to change everything. She'd been up since 4 a.m, and her eyes felt like sandpaper. The past 2 weeks had been rough. Her mother, the woman who'd raised her and her 3 siblings all by herself, was sick. Real sick. The kind of sick that makes you realize time is precious and you can't waste a single moment. Maya had taken emergency leave from her job at Children's Memorial Hospital to fly down to Atlanta and help out. Her older sister, Diane, had been handling everything alone for months, and it was Maya's turn to step up. Those 2 weeks had been a blur of doctor appointments, medication schedules, and late-night conversations where her mama would forget who she was for a few scary minutes before the fog cleared. Dementia was stealing her mother away piece by piece, and there wasn't a thing Maya could do except be there and hold her hand. Now she was heading back home to Chicago, back to her own kids who'd been staying with their aunt. Her daughter Keisha was 10 and her son Malik was 7. They'd been calling every night, and last night Keisha had cried on the phone because she missed her mama so much. Maya had promised she'd be home by dinner tonight. She'd promised she'd make Malik's favorite spaghetti and meatballs. She couldn't break that promise. The airport was absolute chaos. It always was, but today felt worse than usual. People everywhere pulling suitcases, checking phones, yelling at gate agents. Maya clutched her small carry-on bag and checked her phone for the 100th time. Her flight was scheduled to board at 9:15 and it was already 8:30. She had 45 minutes, which should have been plenty of time, but security had taken forever. Some guy had forgotten to take his laptop out of his bag, and the whole line had backed up for 20 minutes. She speed-walked through Terminal 3, her sneakers squeaking on the polished floor. Gate C28, that's where she needed to be. She'd already checked in on her phone, so all she had to do was get there. Easy enough. She could grab a coffee on the way if there was time. Her head was pounding from not enough sleep and too much stress. That's when she saw him. He was standing near the Delta check-in counter, looking lost. An older black man, probably in his late 70s, with silver hair and deep lines around his eyes that spoke of a long life. He wore a simple blue cardigan that had seen better days, dark slacks and shoes that looked comfortable but worn. In his hands he gripped a metal walker, the kind with tennis balls on the bottom legs. His shoulders were hunched, and even from 20 feet away, Maya could see the confusion on his face. He looked around like he was trying to find someone, anyone who could help. A young couple in matching college sweatshirts walked right past him, too busy taking selfies to notice. A businessman in an expensive suit nearly bumped into the walker, said, "Excuse me," without looking up, and kept moving. An airport employee pushing a wheelchair went by, eyes straight ahead. Maya slowed her pace. She should keep walking. She really should. She had a plane to catch, kids waiting for her, responsibilities. 45 minutes wasn't that much time, not really. Someone else would help him. Surely someone would stop, but nobody did. She thought about her own mama, struggling to remember which pill to take when. She thought about how scared her mama had looked just 3 days ago, when she'd gotten confused at the grocery store and couldn't remember how to get home. She thought about all the times strangers had helped her when she needed it most. Maya's feet changed direction before her brain fully made the decision. "Excuse me, sir," she said, walking up to the elderly man. "Are you all right? Do you need some help?" The man turned to look at her, and his eyes were watery, overwhelmed. Up close she could see he was trembling slightly. "Oh, thank goodness," he said, and his voice cracked with relief. "I'm so sorry to bother you, miss. I know everyone's busy. I can't figure out where I'm supposed to go." "It's no bother at all," Maya said, and she meant it. She set down her bag. "Let me take a look at your ticket. What airline are you flying?" His hands shook as he fumbled in his cardigan pocket and pulled out a crumpled boarding pass. "Morrison International," he said. "I haven't flown in so long. Everything's different now. All these machines and screens. My grandson bought the ticket for me online, and I don't really understand how it all works." Maya took the boarding pass gently from his hands. Morrison International Airlines departing 9:30, gate B42. She checked the airport map on her phone. Her heart sank a little. Gate B42 was on the complete opposite end of the airport from where she needed to be. To get there, they'd have to walk back through Terminal 2, which meant at least a 15-minute walk for her. For this gentleman with his walker, it would probably take twice that long. She looked at the time. A32, if she helped him, she might not make her flight. If she didn't help him, he might miss his. The old man must have seen the hesitation on her face. You don't have to help me, he said quickly. I know you probably have somewhere to be. I can find someone who works here maybe. I'm sorry for taking your time. There was something in his voice, a dignity mixed with embarrassment, that broke Maya's heart. This was somebody's grandfather. Somebody's father. He was alone in this massive, confusing airport, and he'd probably been standing there for who knows how long, invisible to everyone rushing past. No, sir, Maya said firmly. I'm not leaving you here. Gate B42, that's where we're heading. Come on, we'll get you there together. The relief that washed over his face was immediate. Are you sure? You look like you're in a hurry yourself. I've got time, Maya lied smoothly. What's your name, if you don't mind me asking? Richard, he said. Richard Morrison. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate this, Miss Maya Thompson. And it's really no problem, Mr. Morrison. Let's get you to your flight. She positioned herself next to him, close enough that he could take her arm if he needed to, and they started moving. He pushed the walker slowly, carefully, and Maya matched his pace. It was frustratingly slow. She could feel each second ticking away, but she kept her face pleasant and calm. They moved through the crowd like a small island of stillness in a river of rushing people. Everyone else was racing somewhere, stressed and impatient. Maya and Mr. Morrison took their time. Every 30 feet or so he needed to stop and catch his breath. His breathing was labored, and Maya's nurse instincts kicked in automatically. Are you feeling okay? She asked during one of their stops. Any chest pain or dizziness? No, nothing like that, he assured her. Just old bones and tired legs. Doctor says I'm doing fine for my age. I just can't move like I used to. They continued on, and as they walked, he started to talk. Maybe it was nerves, or maybe he was just a lonely old man who didn't get much company anymore. I'm going to see my grandson, he explained. He's graduating from Northwestern. Engineering degree. First person in our family to finish college. That's wonderful, Maya said, and she meant it. You must be so proud. Prouder than I can say, Richard said, his whole face lighting up. His mama, my daughter, she couldn't make it. She's overseas for work, so I told my grandson I'd be there. Haven't flown in 5 years, not since my wife passed. She used to handle all the travel planning. I'm lost without her. Maya felt that familiar ache in her chest. I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you, dear. 52 years we were married. Every day I wake up and expect to see her there. He paused at another rest stop. That's why I almost didn't make this trip. Everything feels so hard now. But my grandson, he means the world to me. I couldn't let him down. He's lucky to have you, Maya said. She checked her phone discreetly. 8:41. They'd been walking for 9 minutes and still had so far to go. What about you? Richard asked. Where are you heading? Back home to Chicago, Maya said. I've been in Atlanta taking care of my mama. She's not doing too well. I'm sorry to hear that. What's wrong, if you don't mind me asking? Dementia, Maya said quietly. Some days she knows me, some days she doesn't. It's hard. Richard nodded slowly. That's a heavy burden to carry. But she's blessed to have a daughter like you. I can tell you're a good person. Not everyone would stop to help an old man like me. They kept moving, taking another break near a Starbucks. Maya could smell the coffee and desperately wanted a cup, but there wasn't time. 8:47. 28 minutes until her boarding. They still weren't at Terminal 2 yet. What do you do for work? Richard asked. I'm a nurse, Maya said. Pediatrics. I work with sick kids. A nurse, Richard repeated, smiling. That makes sense. You have that way about you. Calm and caring. Those kids are lucky to have you taking care of them. Thank you. I love what I do. They finally made it to Terminal 2, and Maya felt a small flutter of panic. This was taking so much longer than she'd hoped. Gate B42 was still far ahead. The signs pointed them down another long corridor. She could turn back now. She could still make her flight if she ran. But looking at Mr. Morrison, at the way he was leaning heavily on his walker, exhausted from the journey so far, she knew she couldn't leave him. We're getting close, she said encouragingly. You're doing great. 56. 19 minutes until boarding. Her phone buzzed. A text from Keisha. Can't wait to see you tonight, Mama. Love you. Maya's throat tightened. She texted back quickly. Love you too, baby. See you soon. She hoped that was still true. They kept moving down the long corridor, and Maya tried not to look at her phone anymore. Every time she checked, her anxiety spiked a little higher. Instead, she focused on Mr. Morrison, making sure he was steady on his feet, watching for any signs that he might be overdoing it. "Tell me about your children," Richard said between breaths. They were taking another short break near a magazine stand. "You said you have kids?" Maya smiled despite her growing worry about the time. "2. Keisha is 10 and Malik is 7. They're staying with my sister while I was down in Atlanta. I haven't seen them in 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a long time when you're that young," Richard said. "I bet they're counting the minutes until you get home." "They are," Maya said, pulling out her phone to show him a picture. Her lock screen showed both kids grinning at the camera, Malik missing his 2 front teeth. "That's them last month at Malik's birthday party." "Beautiful children," Richard said warmly. "They have your smile. Are you married?" "Divorced," Maya said simply. She'd gotten used to saying it without feeling the sting. "Their father's around, sees them every other weekend. It's just me most of the time, though. That's hard, raising kids alone while working full-time. My daughter did the same thing after her husband left. I have so much respect for single mothers. You're doing the work of 2 people." They started moving again, and Maya felt a strange comfort in talking to this man. There was something calming about him. Despite his frail appearance, maybe it was the gentleness in his voice or the way he really listened when she talked. So many people asked questions but didn't really care about the answers. Richard seemed genuinely interested. "How do you manage it all?" he asked. "Work, kids, taking care of your mother?" Maya laughed, but it came out tired. "Honestly, some days I don't know how I manage. I just keep moving forward because I don't have any other choice. My mama taught me that. She raised 4 of us by herself after my daddy passed. Never complained once. Just did what needed to be done. Your mother sounds like a remarkable woman." "She is," Maya said, her voice thick with emotion, "which is why it kills me to see her like this now. She was always so strong, so sharp. Now there are days she can't remember my name. Last week she called me by her sister's name, and her sister's been gone for 20 years. Richard was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. "That's the cruelest part of getting old. The body fails, the mind fails, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop it. My wife went the same way in the end. The last year she barely knew who I was. But I'd sit with her every day and tell her about our life together. Sometimes I think maybe some part of her remembered. I do the same thing with my mama," Maya said. "I tell her stories from when we were kids. Sometimes she smiles like she remembers." They reached another rest area with benches, and Richard needed to sit down for a few minutes. Maya sat next to him, and for a moment she forgot all about her flight. There was something about this conversation that felt important, like she was meant to have it. "Can I tell you something?" Richard said, looking at her with those tired eyes. "When my wife died, I wasn't sure I wanted to keep going. We'd been together so long, I didn't know how to be a person without her. For months, I barely left the house. My daughter kept calling, my grandson kept visiting, but I was just lost." Maya reached over and gently patted his hand. "I can't imagine losing someone after 52 years. It nearly broke me," Richard admitted. "But then one day my grandson called and told me about his graduation. Asked me if I'd come. And I realized I had a choice. I could stay in my house feeling sorry for myself, or I could show up for the people who still need me. So here I am, even though airports confuse me and flying scares me and I can barely walk without this contraption." He tapped his walker. "Because that boy needs to see his grandfather's face in that crowd." "He's going to be so happy you're there," Maya said. "I hope so. And I hope I'm not making you late for your own family." Maya checked her phone. 10:03, 12 minutes until boarding. Her heart dropped. They'd been sitting for almost 7 minutes. They still weren't at the gate. "We need to keep moving," she said, standing up quickly. "Let's get you there, Mr. Morrison." He struggled to stand, and Maya helped him up. They moved faster now, or as fast as Richard could manage. The gate numbers were getting closer. B36, B38, B40. Almost there. At 9:09, they finally reached gate B42. The gate area was moderately busy. Richard's flight wasn't boarding yet, but there were already passengers waiting in the seats. Maya helped him over to the desk where a gate agent was typing on a computer. "Excuse me," Maya said. "I have a passenger here who needs some assistance. Is there any way he could get priority boarding? He has trouble walking." The gate agent, a young woman with her hair pulled back tight, barely looked up. "He can request a wheelchair at the service desk if he needs one." "He has a walker," Maya said, keeping her voice patient. I just want to make sure he gets on the plane safely. He's traveling alone. The agent finally looked up and saw Richard. Her expression softened a bit. Oh, yes, of course. Sir, when we start boarding, I'll call you up first. Just stay close to the desk. Thank you, Richard said. Thank you so much. Maya helped him to a seat right near the gate desk. He sank into the chair with obvious relief. Oh, that feels good. My legs are done for the day. You made it, though, Maya said, smiling. You're here, and your flight hasn't even started boarding yet. Richard looked up at her with so much gratitude it almost hurt. I wouldn't have made it without you. You have no idea what you've done for me today. When I was standing back there, lost and confused, I felt so alone, so helpless. And then you appeared like an angel. I'm no angel, Maya said, laughing. Just someone who knows what it's like to need help. Whatever you are, you're a blessing, Richard insisted. He reached into his wallet, fumbling with shaky fingers. Please let me give you something for your trouble. For your time. Absolutely not, Maya said firmly. I don't want your money, Mr. Morrison. I'm just glad I could help. Then at least let me give you this. He pulled out an old photograph from his wallet, the kind that had been handled so many times the edges were soft. It showed a young couple, probably from the 1970s based on the clothes and the faded color. The man was tall and handsome with a huge smile. The woman beside him was absolutely beautiful, wearing a yellow dress and laughing at something the camera couldn't capture. That's me and my Dorothy, Richard said softly. 40 years ago, maybe. Before life got complicated and we got old. I carry it everywhere. Looking at it makes me remember the good times. It's beautiful, Maya said, studying the photograph. You two looked so happy. We were. We really were. He pressed the photo into Maya's hand. I want you to have it. Oh no, I couldn't, Maya said, trying to give it back. This is too precious. This is your memory. I have 1,000 memories up here, Richard said, tapping his temple. But you need to understand something. People like you, people who stop and help when they don't have to, people who sacrifice their own time for a stranger. You're rare. You're special. My Dorothy was like that. She'd give the shirt off her back to someone who needed it. You remind me of her. Maya felt tears prickling at her eyes. That's one of the nicest things anyone's ever said to me. It's the truth. You take that photo and remember something for me. Remember that kindness matters. That showing up for people matters, even when it costs you something. Maya carefully tucked the photo into her purse. I'll treasure it. Thank you. The gate agent's voice came over the speaker. We'll begin boarding flight 1847 to Los Angeles in approximately 5 minutes. Maya's stomach dropped. Los Angeles. That was Richard's flight, and she still hadn't made it to her own gate. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands. And 1 minute until her flight started boarding. She pulled up the airport map. Gate C-28, it was so far away. Even if she ran at full speed, it would take her at least 8 minutes to get there. Oh no, she whispered. Richard noticed immediately. What's wrong? My flight, Maya said, her voice breaking. I need to be at gate C-28. It's boarding in 1 minute. The color drained from Richard's face. Oh God, you missed your flight helping me. Why didn't you say something? You should have left me. No, Maya said firmly, even as panic rose in her chest. No, I couldn't have left you. You needed help, but your children are waiting for you. And your grandson is waiting for you, Maya said. She squeezed his hand. Listen to me, Mr. Morrison. I made my choice and I'd make it again. You're going to get on that plane and you're going to see your grandson graduate, and that's what matters. But, no buts. I'll figure it out. I'll get another flight. Even as she said it, Maya was doing the math in her head. Another flight meant at least another day. Hotel costs. Missing work. Disappointing her kids. But what was done was done. She stood up and grabbed her bag. I need to go see if I can still make it. You take care of yourself, okay? Have a wonderful time at that graduation. Wait, Richard said urgently. What's your full name? I want to remember it. Maya Thompson, she said. But you'll probably forget me by tomorrow. I could never forget you, Richard said. His eyes were wet. God bless you, child. God bless you for what you've done. Maya gave him one more smile, then turned and ran. She ran as fast as she'd ever run, dodging other passengers, her bag bouncing against her hip. She flew down the corridor, her lungs burning, her legs pumping. Gate C-28, Gate C-28, Gate C-28. She ran past restaurants and shops and people staring at her like she'd lost her mind. She didn't care. Maybe, just maybe, if she ran fast enough, she could still make it. She reached Terminal 3, saw the gate in the distance. C-28, she could see it. She pushed harder, faster, her vision starting to blur. She arrived at gate C-28 at exactly 9:23. The door was closed. The agent was walking away from the desk. The plane was still there, right outside the window, but it might as well have been on another planet. "Wait," Maya called out, breathless and desperate. "Please, my flight." The gate agent turned around, sympathy already on her face. "I'm sorry, ma'am. The door is closed. We can't reopen it once it's sealed. But the plane is right there," Maya said, and she hated how her voice sounded. Pleading. Desperate. "It hasn't moved yet." "I'm sorry. I really am. But once that door closes, FAA regulations don't allow us to reopen it. You'll need to go to the customer service desk to rebook." Maya stood there, her bag dropping from her shoulder to the floor, watching through the window as the plane slowly backed away from the gate. Her plane. The plane that was supposed to take her home to her babies. She'd missed it. She'd missed her flight helping a stranger, and now she was stuck. Maya stood at gate C-28 for what felt like forever, just staring at the empty space where her plane used to be. Other passengers walked past her, rushing to their own flights, living their own lives. Nobody noticed the woman standing frozen in the middle of the terminal with tears streaming down her face. She couldn't believe it. She'd actually missed her flight. All those years of being responsible, of always making it on time, of never letting people down, and now this. Her kids were expecting her. Keisha had probably been watching the clock all morning, counting down the hours until her mama came home. Malik had probably told all his friends at school that his mom was coming back today, and she wasn't going to be there. Maya wiped her eyes and took a shaky breath. Crying wasn't going to change anything. She needed to figure out what to do next. She picked up her bag and walked over to the customer service desk. The line was long, of course. It always was. She waited behind a man arguing about baggage fees and a woman trying to change her ticket to an earlier flight. When it was finally her turn, Maya stepped up to the counter. The agent was a middle-aged woman with tired eyes and a name tag that said Patricia. "Hi," Maya said, her voice still shaky. "I missed my flight. I need to rebook." Patricia typed something into her computer. "Flight number?" Maya told her, and Patricia's fingers flew across the keyboard. The clicking sound seemed to go on forever. "Okay," Patricia said finally. "I can get you on the next flight to Chicago. It departs tomorrow morning at 7:45 a.m. Tomorrow? Maya's heart sank even further. "There's nothing today? Nothing at all?" Patricia checked again. "I'm sorry. Everything's completely booked. There's a medical conference in Chicago this week, so flights are fuller than usual. The 7:45 tomorrow is the earliest I have available. Tomorrow. A whole extra day." Maya did the math in her head. She'd have to find a hotel room, which she really couldn't afford right now. She'd already used most of her emergency fund paying for her mama's medications, and she'd have to miss work tomorrow. She was supposed to be at the hospital for the morning shift. They were already short-staffed because 2 other nurses had called in sick this week. "How much is the ticket?" Maya asked, even though she was afraid of the answer. "Let me check the change fee." Patricia typed some more. "Okay, with the change fee and the fare difference, it'll be $340. Maya felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. $340, plus a hotel room, which would probably be at least another $100 near the airport, plus food for the day. She was looking at close to $500 total, money she absolutely did not have. But what choice did she have? "Okay," Maya said quietly. "Book it." She handed over her credit card, the one she tried to keep for emergencies only. Patricia processed the payment, and Maya watched the receipt print out. She took it with shaking hands. "You're all set," Patricia said. "Your boarding pass will be available on the app tonight." "I'm sorry you had to miss your flight today." "Yeah," Maya said. "Me too." She walked away from the desk feeling numb. She found an empty seat near a window and just sat down. For a long moment, she didn't do anything. She just stared at the planes outside, taking off and landing, going places she wasn't going. Then she pulled out her phone. She had to call the kids. She'd promised she'd be home for dinner, and now she had to break that promise. Her hand was shaking as she pressed Keisha's name. Her sister answered. "Hey, are you on the plane?" Diane asked, sounding cheerful. "No," Maya said, and her voice cracked. "I missed my flight." "You what?" How did you miss your flight? Maya explained everything. Helping the old man, getting him to his gate, running but not making it in time. As she talked, she could hear Keisha in the background asking questions. Is that Mama? When is she coming? Is she on the plane? Hold on, Keisha, just a minute, Diane said. Then back to Maya. Girl, are you serious? You missed your flight helping some stranger? I couldn't just leave him there, Diane. He was so lost and confused. Nobody else was helping. Diane sighed. I know. That's just like you. Always trying to save everybody. When are you getting home? Tomorrow morning. I'm stuck here overnight. Did you eat today? Do you have somewhere to stay? I'll find a hotel. You sound exhausted, Maya. I'm worried about you. I'm fine, Maya lied. Can you put Keisha on? There was rustling, and then her daughter's voice came through, bright and hopeful. Mama, are you almost here? Maya closed her eyes. This was the hardest part. Baby, I have some bad news. I'm not going to make it home tonight. I missed my plane. What? Why, you promised. I know, sweetie. I'm so sorry. Something came up and I couldn't make it. But I'll be home tomorrow morning, I promise. But you said tonight. You said you'd make spaghetti. Keisha was crying now, and it broke Maya's heart into pieces. I know, baby. I know, I'm so sorry. Can you put Aunt Diane back on? More rustling, sniffling sounds, and then Diane's voice. She'll be okay. Malik, too. They just miss you. I miss them, too. More than anything. Maya was crying again. Take care of them tonight, okay? Tell them I love them. I will. And Maya, get some rest. You sound like you're about to fall apart. After they hung up, Maya just sat there. She felt hollowed out, empty. She thought about Mr. Morrison, probably on his plane right now, heading to see his grandson. She was glad she'd helped him. She really was. But right now, sitting alone in this airport so far from her kids, she couldn't help but wonder if she'd made a terrible mistake. Had she been stupid? Should she have just kept walking? Someone else would have helped him eventually, right? She could have made her flight. She could be in the air right now, getting closer to home with every minute. But even as she thought it, she knew she couldn't have walked away. It wasn't in her nature. Her mama had taught her better than that. Baby girl, her mama used to say. You treat people the way you want to be treated. Don't matter if you're tired or busy or running late. You always help when someone needs it. Maya pulled out her phone and looked at the photograph Mr. Morrison had given her. The young couple, so happy, so full of life. She wondered if they'd known back then how life would turn out. If they'd known they'd have 52 years together, then she'd be gone and he'd be alone. If they'd known their love story would end with him confused in an airport, needing help from a stranger. Character is what you do when nobody's watching, her mama had told her once. Well, lots of people had been watching today. They'd all watched Mr. Morrison standing there, lost and afraid, and they'd all kept walking. Maya had been the only one who stopped. Maybe that meant something. Maybe it didn't. Right now, she was too tired to figure it out. She booked a hotel room on her phone, the cheapest one she could find near the airport. $79 a night. She called an Uber to take her there. While she waited for the car, she checked her bank account and felt sick. Between the flight change, the hotel, and everything else, she was going to be cutting it really close this month. She might have to ask Diane for a loan to cover groceries. The Uber driver was a quiet man who didn't try to make conversation, which Maya appreciated. She stared out the window at the city passing by, not really seeing any of it. The hotel was exactly what she expected for $79. Small, slightly dingy, but clean enough. The woman at the front desk barely looked at her as she checked in. Maya took her key card and dragged herself to room 237. The room was depressing. Beige walls, thin carpet, a bed that squeaked when she sat on it. There was a TV mounted on the wall and a tiny bathroom with harsh fluorescent lighting. The window looked out over the parking lot. Maya dropped her bag on the floor and sat on the edge of the bed. She was so tired, bone-deep tired, the kind of tired that sleep might not even fix. She hadn't slept well in weeks between taking care of her mama and worrying about everything else. Now this. She called work and left a message explaining she wouldn't make her shift tomorrow morning. She'd be on a plane. She apologized profusely, promised she'd make it up. She knew her supervisor wouldn't be happy. They were already stretched thin. Then she ordered a sandwich from a place nearby using a delivery app. She couldn't afford it, but she needed to eat something. She'd barely had anything all day except airport coffee and some crackers. While she waited for the food, she took a shower. The water pressure was weak, but at least it was hot. She stood under the spray for a long time, letting it wash away the day. When she got out and looked at herself in the foggy mirror, she barely recognized the woman staring back. Her eyes were red and puffy. She looked old, worn down. The food arrived, and she ate it sitting on the bed, watching some mindless show on TV that she wasn't really paying attention to. The sandwich was okay. Everything was just okay. Nothing was good, nothing was terrible. Just okay. As the evening wore on, Maya kept thinking about Mr. Morrison. She wondered if his plane had landed yet, if he'd made it to Los Angeles safely, if he was with his grandson now, getting ready for the graduation tomorrow. She hoped so. She hoped at least her sacrifice had meant something. She thought about texting Diane to check on the kids, but she didn't want to interrupt their bedtime routine. Keisha was probably still upset with her. That hurt more than anything else today. Maya lay down on the uncomfortable hotel bed and stared at the ceiling. The people in the room next door were loud, talking and laughing about something. She could hear every word through the thin walls. Normally it would have bothered her, but tonight she was almost grateful for the noise. It made her feel less alone. She picked up the photograph again, looking at Richard and Dorothy Morrison in their younger days. They looked so sure of themselves, so confident that everything would work out. She wondered if Dorothy had ever felt like this, like she'd made all the wrong choices and ended up stuck in a cheap hotel room counting pennies. "I hope I did the right thing," Maya whispered to the photograph. "I really hope so." She set the photo on the nightstand, turned off the light, and tried to sleep. Tomorrow she'd get on that plane. Tomorrow she'd go home to her babies. Tomorrow everything would be better. At least that's what she told herself. As she finally drifted off, exhausted and alone, in a hotel room that smelled faintly of stale cigarettes and industrial cleaner, Maya woke up at 5 in the morning to her phone alarm blaring. For a confused moment, she didn't know where she was. Then it all came flooding back. The airport hotel, the missed flight, yesterday's disaster. She groaned and forced herself out of bed. Her body ached from sleeping on the cheap mattress. She got ready quickly, washing her face with the tiny bar of soap the hotel provided and brushing her teeth. She looked at herself in the mirror and tried to pull herself together. Today she'd get home. Today she'd see her kids. She just had to get through a few more hours. She caught a 6 a.m. Uber back to the airport. The driver this time was chatty, talking about the weather and traffic and his daughter's wedding. Maya made polite responses, but mostly stared out the window at the city waking up. At the airport, she went through security again. The lines were shorter this early in the morning, at least. She made it to her gate by 6:45, a full hour before boarding. She bought a coffee with the last bit of cash she had and sat down to wait. She texted Diane. "At the airport. Plane leaves at 7:45. Should be home by 10. Diane texted back immediately. "Thank God. The kids have been asking about you since they woke up. They're excited." Maya smiled for the first time since yesterday. Soon. She'd see them soon. She'd hug Keisha and Malik and tell them how much she missed them. Everything would be okay. At 7:30, the gate agent made an announcement that they'd begin boarding shortly. Maya gathered her things and stood near the desk, ready to get on that plane and get home. That's when the gate agent walked up to her. "Excuse me, are you Maya Thompson?" Maya's stomach dropped. What now? What could possibly go wrong now? "Yes, that's me." The agent smiled, but it was a strange smile, not quite normal. "Could you come with me for a moment, please?" "Is something wrong with my ticket?" Maya asked, panic rising in her chest. "I confirmed it last night. The app says everything's fine." "Your ticket is fine," the agent said. "There's just a situation we need to address. If you could follow me?" Maya's mind raced through possibilities. Did they think she was suspicious? Somehow. Was there a problem with her ID? Had her credit card been declined? She followed the agent away from the gate, her heart pounding. The agent led her through a door marked authorized personnel only that Maya had never noticed before. Behind it was a hallway that looked completely different from the regular airport. Nicer, quieter. The carpet was thick and new, the walls painted a soft cream color. "Where are we going?" Maya asked. "Just up here," the agent said, still with that mysterious smile. They walked down the hallway and stopped at a frosted glass door. The agent knocked twice, then opened it and gestured for Maya to enter. Maya stepped inside and froze. The room was beautiful, like something from a magazine. Leather chairs, soft lighting, a coffee bar in the corner with an actual barista. Floor-to-ceiling windows looking out at the runways. This wasn't just a room. This was a luxury lounge, the kind Maya had heard about but never actually seen. And sitting in one of those leather chairs looking perfectly comfortable in an expensive-looking navy suit was Mr. Morrison, but he looked completely different. Yesterday he'd been hunched over, confused, dressed in worn clothes. Today he sat straight, confident, his silver hair perfectly styled. Next to him stood a younger black man in his early 30s, also wearing a sharp suit holding a tablet. Maya's brain couldn't process what she was seeing. "Mr. Morrison?" Richard Morrison stood up, moving much more easily than he had yesterday. "Maya, thank you for coming. I hope I didn't startle you." What? I don't understand." Maya looked around the room, then back at Richard. "What's happening?" The woman who'd brought her appeared at her side. "Ms. Thompson, I'm Jennifer Santos, Vice President of Customer Relations for Morrison International Airlines. We need to speak with you about what happened yesterday." Maya's confusion shifted to worry. "Am I in trouble? I swear I didn't do anything wrong. I just helped him get to his gate." "You're not in trouble," Richard said, walking toward her. His whole demeanor was different. The confused, frightened old man from yesterday was gone. This was someone else, someone who carried himself with quiet authority. "Please, sit down. Let me explain." Maya sat in one of the leather chairs because her legs suddenly felt weak. Her mind was spinning. Morrison International Airlines, Richard Morrison. "Oh my God," she whispered. "You own the airline?" Richard smiled. "I do. Well, I'm the founder and majority owner. These days my daughter and grandson run most of the day-to-day operations, but yes, the company is mine." Maya stared at him. "But yesterday, you were so confused. The walker, the old clothes. I don't understand." "Let me tell you a story," Richard said, sitting down across from her. "When I started Morrison International 50 years ago, it was just me and 2 small planes. I made a promise that we'd treat every passenger with dignity and respect, that we'd remember that every person walking through our doors is someone's mother, someone's father, someone's child, real people with real lives." He paused, looking out the window at a plane taking off. "But over the years, as the company grew, I started to worry we were losing that. I'd hear complaints, people feeling invisible, staff too busy to help. So about 5 years ago, I started doing something. A few times a year, I go through our airports dressed like a regular elderly passenger. No security detail, no expensive clothes, just me, seeing what the real experience is like for people who need help." Maya's mouth fell open. "You were testing the airport?" "I was," Richard confirmed. "And yesterday I stood at that check-in counter for 47 minutes. 47 minutes, Maya. Hundreds of people walked past me, our own employees walked past me. Not one person stopped to help until you did." "But that's..." Maya didn't know what to say. "That's terrible." "It is terrible," Richard agreed. "And it's exactly why I keep doing these tests, because it shows me where we're failing, where we need to do better." He leaned forward, his eyes intense. "But it also shows me when we encounter extraordinary human beings. People like you." Jennifer spoke up from where she was standing. "After you left Mr. Morrison at his gate yesterday, he called me immediately. He wanted to know everything about the woman who'd helped him. We pulled up your ticket information. We saw that you'd missed your flight." "You missed your flight because of me," Richard said, and his voice was full of emotion. When Jennifer told me that, when she said you'd had to rebook for today, spend the night in a hotel, miss work. Maya, I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. Maya felt tears starting to form. I couldn't just leave you there. I know, Richard said softly. That's what makes you special. You had somewhere to be. Children waiting for you at home, but you stopped anyway. Do you know how rare that is? How many people in this world would do what you did? Anyone would have done the same thing, Maya said. But even as she said it, she knew it wasn't true. She'd seen all those people walk past him. No, Richard said firmly. They wouldn't have. And they didn't. You were the only one. The younger man who'd been standing quietly spoke up. Ms. Thompson, I'm David Morrison, Richard's grandson. The one he was flying to see. He smiled warmly. My grandfather called me from the plane yesterday. He told me he'd met an angel. He couldn't stop talking about you. About your kindness, your patience, the way you treated him with dignity when everyone else made him invisible. I just did what felt right, Maya said. Exactly, Richard said. You did what felt right even when it cost you something. Even when it hurt you. That's character, Maya. That's the kind of person my wife was. The kind of person I try to be. And it's incredibly rare. Jennifer stepped forward with a folder in her hands. Ms. Thompson, Mr. Morrison asked me to look into your situation. I hope you don't mind, but we accessed your customer file. We saw the hotel charge, the ticket change fee, everything you had to pay because you missed your flight. Maya felt embarrassed. They'd seen all of that. They knew how much yesterday had cost her. We'd like to do something about that, Richard said. First of all, we're refunding every penny you spent. The flight change, the hotel, all of it. That money will be back in your account by this afternoon. Maya's eyes went wide. You don't have to do that. We absolutely do, Richard said. That's just the beginning. He nodded at Jennifer, who opened the folder. Ms. Thompson, Jennifer said, on behalf of Morrison International Airlines, we'd like to offer you a lifetime platinum membership. This means you and your immediate family, that's you and your 2 children, will have unlimited first-class travel on any Morrison International route for the rest of your lives. Maya couldn't breathe. She couldn't process what she was hearing. What? Unlimited first-class travel, Jennifer repeated. Anywhere we fly. Whenever you want to go, you'll never have to worry about ticket costs again. But that's impossible. That's too much. It's not too much, Richard said. It's not nearly enough for what you did. But there's more. David handed Richard an envelope. Richard stood up and brought it over to Maya, placing it gently in her lap. You told me yesterday about your mother, Richard said. About her dementia. About how hard it is to care for her. Maya, this is a check for $50,000. I want you to use it for your mother's care. Whatever she needs. The best doctors, the best facility, home care, whatever will make her comfortable and give you peace of mind. Maya looked down at the envelope but couldn't bring herself to open it. $50,000? That couldn't be real. None of this could be real. She was going to wake up in that awful hotel room and realize this was all a dream. Why? She whispered. Why are you doing this? Richard knelt down in front of her chair, moving with the care of a man his age but with purpose. Because my wife Dorothy, God rest her soul, always told me something. She said that the measure of a society is how it treats its most vulnerable members. Yesterday you treated me with dignity when I was vulnerable. You sacrificed your own needs to help someone else. That's the kind of person this world needs more of. He reached out and took her hand. You reminded me why I started this company. Why it matters. You showed me that there are still good people in this world. People who do the right thing even when it costs them everything. I can't let that go unrewarded. Maya was crying now, tears streaming down her face. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, Richard said gently. But there is one more thing. A job offer if you're interested. A job offer? Jennifer spoke up again. We want to create a new passenger dignity program across all Morrison International airports. A system that ensures elderly passengers, disabled passengers, anyone who needs help gets it immediately. Training for our staff. Better procedures. And we want you to help us design it. Me? Maya said. But I'm a nurse. I don't know anything about airlines. You know about compassion, David said. You know about seeing people who are invisible to everyone else. That's what we need. It would be part-time, Jennifer explained. Consulting work. You could keep your nursing job. We'd work around your schedule. The pay is $75,000 a year. Maya's mind went blank. $75,000 a year. For part-time work. This isn't real, she said. This can't be real. It's very real, Richard said. He was still holding her hand. Yesterday you changed my life, Maya. You reminded me what matters. Today, I want to change yours. Not as payment, but as thanks. As recognition. As proof that kindness doesn't go unnoticed even when it feels like it does. Maya looked around the room at all these people looking at her with warmth and respect. She thought about yesterday, standing alone in that airport after missing her flight, wondering if she'd made a terrible mistake. She thought about lying in that hotel room, broke and exhausted, hoping she'd done the right thing, and somehow, impossibly miraculously, it had mattered. Maya sat in that beautiful lounge crying so hard she could barely breathe. Jennifer handed her tissues from a box on the side table, and Maya took them gratefully, trying to pull herself together. But every time she thought she had control, another wave of emotion hit her. "I'm sorry," she kept saying. "I'm sorry, I just can't believe this is happening." "Don't apologize," Richard said warmly. He'd moved back to his chair but was still watching her with those kind eyes. "I cried too when Jennifer told me you'd missed your flight. I felt terrible, like I'd ruined your day." "You didn't ruin anything," Maya managed to say through her tears. "I chose to help you. I'd choose it again." "I know you would," Richard said. "That's exactly my point. That's exactly why you deserve everything we're offering you." Maya wiped her eyes and looked at the envelope still sitting in her lap. With shaking hands, she opened it. Inside was a check, and the amount made her gasp out loud even though Richard had already told her. $50,000, made out to Maya Thompson, signed by Richard Morrison himself. "I can't accept this," she said. But even as she said it, she was thinking about her mama, about all the medical bills that kept piling up, about the better care facility Diane had found but they couldn't afford, about maybe being able to take time off work to spend more days with her mother, while she still remembered who Maya was. "This is too much." "It's not too much," David said gently. "My grandfather learned from the best. My grandmother Dorothy, she gave to everyone, quietly, without anyone knowing. She'd hear about someone struggling and just help. My grandfather is the same way. This isn't charity, Miss Thompson, this is gratitude." "And investment," Jennifer added. "We genuinely want you to work with us on the Passenger Dignity Program. We need someone who understands what compassion looks like in action, someone who's lived it. That's you." Maya looked at the check again. She thought about calling her sister, telling her the news. Diane wouldn't believe it. Nobody would believe it. Maya barely believed it herself. "Can I ask you something?" Maya said, looking at Richard. "Anything." "Why do you do it?" "The undercover thing. Don't you have people who can check on your airports for you?" Richard was quiet for a moment, thinking about his answer. "I could send people, yes. Mystery shoppers, consultants, all of that. We do that too. But it's not the same as experiencing it yourself. When you're the founder of a company, when your name is on every plane, every ticket, every uniform, you have a responsibility. Not just to make money, but to live up to what you promised." He stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the busy tarmac. "When my Dorothy was dying, we had to fly her specialists across the country several times. She was weak, confused, in pain, and I saw how airport staff treated her. Some were wonderful. Angels, really. But some," he trailed off, his voice catching, "some treated her like she was an inconvenience. Like she was in their way. She was dying, and they couldn't be bothered to show a little patience." Maya's heart ached for him. "After she passed, I made a promise to her. I promised I'd make sure no one else felt invisible in my airports. That every person, especially the vulnerable ones, would be treated with the dignity they deserve. So yes, I still go out there. I still see it for myself. Because if I don't, if I just sit in my office and trust that everything's fine, then I'm failing her memory." "She'd be proud of you," Maya said softly. Richard turned around and his eyes were wet. "I hope so. And I hope she'd be proud that we found you. Because you're exactly the kind of person she was." He walked back over and sat down again. "My wife used to say that the world shows you who people really are when they think nobody important is watching. Yesterday you thought I was nobody important, just some confused old man who needed help. And you helped me anyway. That's who you are, Maya, that's your character. And I want to honor that." Jennifer checked her watch. "Ms. Thompson, your flight is boarding in about 20 minutes. But you're not going to be on that flight." Maya's stomach dropped. "What? Why not?" Jennifer smiled. "Because we've upgraded you to our 10:30 first-class direct flight. It'll get you home faster and you'll travel in comfort. Your original ticket has been refunded in full. This is on us.